I got some things that I need to say. I don't know why I feel this way, but I've been having trouble sleeping lately. So maybe I just gotta get this out of the way. I don't know what the problem is, but I do know how I feel. And I know when I'm with my friends, I just feel so fake, cause I can't be real. I don't wanna be the last.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. And I know it's been a while, but I was doing some stuff, getting some work done. We can go ahead and start this new series that I have on my channel now called History Behind the Musical. So basically what this is a series where I talk about the true story or the true history behind some of your or my favorite musicals. Or maybe they're not your favorite, but it's still cool to know the real story behind your favorite play that may be fiction but may be based on real life. So we're starting with my favorite musical of all time, Chicago. And we're starting here for two reasons. One, because it's my favorite musical. And two, being my favorite musical, I've actually known this for quite a while, but maybe you didn't. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people who didn't. So let's jump right into this. Chicago is a 1975 musical created by John Kander, Fred Ebb, and Bob Fosse. It's set in the 1920s Chicago. It follows two women, Roxy Hart and Velma Kelly, whose paths cross in the women's block of the Cook County Jail, having been sent there for murder. In a series of events, we see Roxy manipulate people and situations in order to achieve celebrity status as a prisoner. And she's able to do this with the help of the legendary Billy Flynn, a lawyer that she kind of stole from Velma. On the other hand, Velma, who used to be a lot more popular before Roxy came on the scene, tries to, at different times, one up Roxy or collaborate with her. Fortunately, she fails at every crossing. Eventually, both women are acquitted thanks to the lawyer, but their celebrity status doesn't last, and in the end, they end up having to work together in order to achieve their goals. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the musical, but not many people know that the musical is based on a real life story. Musical Chicago is based on a 1926 play by Maureen Dallas Watkins, which in turn is based off the true life tale of two female murderers in the 1920s. Now, Watkins did not just write the play, she was also a reporter for the Daily Tribune in the 1920s, covering the murder of two said female murderers. These two women's names were Beulah Anand and Belva Gardner, or however you say that. Beulah was 23 years old, and she was accused of killing Harry Kalstad, who tried to make love to her according to what she told her husband. The other woman, Belva, was accused of murdering Walter Law because his body was found slumped over the steering wheel of his car, and two policemen had seen a woman get into the car right before gunshots were heard. Both women met in prison, and it was rumored that they set up a beauty shop where they helped other prisoners dress up for their trials. Eventually, the women, who were both represented by separate lawyers, were also acquitted by two different groups of juries. Beulah, whose husband had gone bankrupt trying to pay for her trial, thanked him by dumping him after the trial was over. So gracious. Watkins' pieces on the trials were so widely read and enjoyed that she decided to turn their stories into a play. Roxy Hart, of course, was inspired by Beulah, while Velma Kelly was inspired by Velma. And while a large portion of the play was really just a retelling of the murder, there were some creative liberties taken, which you might notice in the change of the names, of course, the change in Velma's victims, and the compression of the two different lawyers into one character, among a plethora of other stuff, obviously. The play went to Broadway in 1926 and ran 172 successful performances. The very next year, an silent film version by the same name, produced by Cecil B. DeMille, was released. And then in 1942, an American comedy version of the play titled Roxy Hart was released. But in this version, Roxy didn't commit the murder, but is accused of it anyway. After that, not a lot really happened with the play until the 1960s, when a woman named Gwen Verdon read the play and decided that it could be a musical. She spoke to her husband, Bob Fosse, who then approached Watkins to buy the rights to her play. Some say that at this point Watkins was regretting having made the play because the women were acquitted, and she didn't think they should be glamorized in this way continuously. But whether this is true or not, Watkins repeatedly refused to give Fosse and his group the rights to the play. They were only able to obtain it after her death in 1969. Her estate sold the rights to the producer, Richard Fryer, Verdon, and Fosse. Probably because of Fosse's background, being the son of a vaudevillain, the musical was made to follow the pattern of a vaudeville style performance. So John Kander and Fred Ebb, who wrote the musical score, modeled each number after a vaudeville performance. Foss was both the director and choreographer, and his vaudeville background was evident in the dances. Ebb and Foss both wrote the book for the musical. Chicago, a musical vaudeville, went on to open at the 46th Street Theater on June 3rd, 1975, and ran for 936 performances before closing on August 27th, 1977. It got mixed reviews, with some people completely loving it and some absolutely hating it. You know how that is. You hate it or you love it. There's no in between, especially because the characters broke the fourth wall. One critic called it cynical and subversive, but bad reviews wasn't all the musical had to deal with. Unfortunately, the play opened the same year as the more successful A Chorus Line. And just as the producers were contemplating closing the show, Burden, who was playing Roxy, had to get surgery on her nodes. Lymph nodes, if you don't know what lymph nodes are. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. This would have been the final straw, but Liza Minnelli, I know you know who Liza Minnelli is. If don't, please look Liza Minnelli up, okay? Volunteered to step in for Verdon until she got back. And that's how they managed to continue showing the musical for 2 years. In 1996, a revised and expanded version of the musical was taken to Broadway by Barry Fran Weiser. The script was adapted by David Thompson, and the play was directed by Walter Bobby and choreographed in the style of Baud Foss by Anne Rankin, who was part of the original cast, if you remember hearing that name just a little bit ago. The revival was way better received by critics, broke box office sales records, and won a whole lot of awards. It won a record breaking 6 Tony Awards at the time and continued to hold the record for the most Tony Awards by a musical until 2008, when South Pacific won 7. And then the cast recording, which was released in 1997, won a Grammy in 1997 for Best Musical Show. In 2002, a movie version of the 1975 musical was released. The musical was adapted for the movie by Bill Cody. Ron Marshall both directed and choreographed the movie, but Kander and Ebb's lyrics, as used in the musical, were kept. The musical was also critically acclaimed, winning 6 Academy Awards in 2003, and its actors winning a couple of Golden Globes and Critics' Choice Awards. If you don't know, the movie starred Catherine Zeta-Jones, Renee Zellweger, Richard Gere, Queen Latifah, and a host of other characters. Um, Even Tate Diggs made a little appearance as the narrator. So it's a really good movie. Honestly, the movie is like one of my favorite versions of the musical. But anyway, considering how well received the revival and the movie were, it seems that the original was just released at the wrong time. I mean, murder was not as glamorized back then as it is now. See the Jeffrey Dahmer movie and series coming out. If it's not already out, I can't remember because I don't care. Which could be why the original musical was not as well received. Um, that said, the original did go for close to around 1,000 performances, so maybe people just didn't hate it as much as the critics wanted them to. But that is all for today. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the history behind the musical. That name may stay, it may not. I can't recall exactly what I was trying to say. I had it clear in my head and then I lost it. So yeah, but hopefully you enjoyed this first episode. There are many more episodes to come. I will be covering Broadway news and different Broadway topics on this channel from here on out. I will also be posting short films. And unfortunately for this series, it won't be picking back up until March because for February, I am going to be talking about plays that are written by and star all Black casts for the entire month of February. So I'm going to be covering a lot of those for the month of February, as well as we'll be having some short films on this channel coming soon. The first one will also be in February, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So that is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a like if you like this kind of content, learning things you didn't know about Broadway musicals. Subscribe if you're not subscribed for more stuff like this. And make sure you leave a comment. Did you know about the history behind Chicago? Did you know about all the stuff that the play went through in its many, many years of performances, remakes, if you will, and all that kind of stuff? Did you know? Is there anything you'd like to add? that maybe I didn't talk about. Because these are really going to be quick overviews. These aren't meant to be super long. So yeah, was there anything you'd like to add? Anything you took away from this? Anything like that? Yeah. So comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And yeah, bye.